Hey, thanks for watching. Really exciting videos that we're doing today. And in this section, we brought Dr. Scott's force plate out to measure what I think is one of the best drivers of the golf ball that I've ever been around as far as consistency, speed, and just like again and again and again, this guy hits just straight solid drives. So for people that don't know Scott, what is the swing catalyst and what are we measuring when we hit shots off of this?
This is our 3D motion plate. So it's a combination of a 3D force plate, which gives you the vertical forces, the horizontal side-to-side forces, and the twisting forces or the torque forces. And then we also have the pressures underneath his feet. So it's a combination of a pressure plate and a force plate, which pretty much measures everything that your feet are doing to the ground to see how you're creating that consistency and speed all at once.
Cool. So I know a lot of tour pros are using this or having their teachers use this or having you personally come out and see what they're doing into the ground. How are tour pros using this data?
I mean, to start with, I think a lot of people just try to archive their good swings. So when they were swinging really well, they'd archive it, and then if something went wrong, a lot of times, you know, if you play somewhere really windy, you might get a lot wider with your stance, which alters how your body moves, and this tells you exactly how wide your stance is, so you're like, oh, that's an easy, I can fix that. Or you could see maybe your torque went down or your vertical went down, and then it kind of directs your arrow a lot more how to get back to where you started. And then now that we really understand how this thing works, we can see if there's any mismatches in your swing. Okay. Because the pressure shift should match your dominant ground reaction force pattern, and I've yet to see a tour player where that doesn't match. So if you get a lot into your trail side, you're going to have to get horizontal force happening. If you stay very centered, you can do torque, and if you get on your lead side, you can do verticals. And you see a lot of amateurs where it doesn't match. They get way into their trail side, and their maximum force is a vertical, and that's where it's really hard to be consistent and create speed. I would imagine that you probably match up pretty well with what we've seen so far of your club delivery numbers and your speed. So that's one thing that could get off. You know, as you start playing more, you know, there's things that could get off. We could remeasure you and see how to get back. But so with really good players like PGA Tour players, it's just little tweaks. Like let's just try to give you a little more torque, or a little more vertical, or maybe just, you know, alter that pressure shift a little bit, or your stance got a little too wide. So it can be little tweaks like that. With amateurs, it can be a big whole remake of a lot of bad matchups happening in this. Okay.
When the TrackMan came out, it revolutionized teaching as far as what am I talking about?
It helped us understand ball flight laws better. Exactly what was going on. Yeah. How much the club face dictated where the ball went, and how much the path dictated.
So Scott, with swing catalysts, are there any like old tropes that have been disproven or maybe reinforced, or what have, with like Mike Adams and all the teachers that have been using this for a long time, what have been some of the revelations with ground force that have come out since swing catalyst has been capturing?
I mean, what traditional golf instruction is, you get into your trail side on the backswing, you get back into your lead side on the downswing. That's not true for everyone. I've seen some teachers call me and say, hey, my plate's broken, this guy's only getting like 50% into his trail side, like there's no pressure I'm like, it can happen. And so there are some players on tour that don't get a whole lot of pressure into their trail side, and that traditional measure of getting into your right side and getting back into your left side doesn't work for everyone. And that's what Mike Adams would call more of a lead post player that keeps the pressure more on the lead side, and this would be like old school Bryson DeChambeau before he went to his new swing. I would say Cameron Champ is another good example of a guy that doesn't get much pressure into the trail side, and that's something you can still produce tons of speed. You can still hit great golf shots from there, and it depends on the person. So I think, you know, the old way of saying you got to get in your trail side on the backswing, and, you know, there are old Hogan's things that was like 50-50, 80-20, 80-20.
Yeah.
That's like the average, but not many people are the average, and you got to figure out where you are. And if you teach the average and you're way over here, then you're going to mess yourself up. So yeah, I think it's tailoring what happens there to what each person's body can do and make sure that it matches.
Okay, so get behind your wheels of steel there, and we'll get going. All right, so this video, this segment of the driving force video that we're doing here, before we hit a shot, Milo, tell us in your idea, what do you do into the ground when so hit a shot first. And then tell us, without analyzing it really, or you can capture it if you want.
Yeah.
But tell us in general, what do you feel when you're in the ground, when you're swinging?
You
killed that golf ball.
That was okay.
That was low and just penetrated. 126 club head speed there. Yeah, so what do you feel into the ground?
So what do I feel into the ground? I feel like as I get ready to go, I have a little trigger left, and then I pressure shift to the right a little bit, and then I feel like I really kind of sit into the ground and then push back this way.
Now, when you sit into the ground, this is something we might talk about more later. Do you feel almost kind of like a trap door, like falling and then like a harsh braking? Or, I mean, nothing looks harsh in your swing, but there's a definite break.
There's a definite, I'm sure that you'll see an unweighting for a second and then a spike in force.
Mm-hmm. Why don't you hit another one and Scott, capture another one when you're ready. And then we'll get into the analysis of what's going on.
That's really interesting. I mean, if you had to guess, like percentage-wise, how much pressure do you think you maximally get into your trail side on your backswing?
I don't know.
Guess. Take a guess. So think about it like this here would be 0, right? If I did this, this would be 0, and this here would be 100. What would you think if you had to guess? 60. That's really good.
Okay.
He was 67, which is not a lot. I mean, I would say 80 is the average. We got guys like JB Holmes who get 100% into their trail side, and then guys like
I tend to be very centered
to almost left. Yeah, cool, awesome.
And if you look at my motion, I have almost 0 left motion as I come down.
Right.
I'm a baseball player, and I just use my baseball.
Cool. That's really cool. I mean, that matches exactly.
All right, let's capture a really good one. Oh, there it is.
Okay, I hit that one about normal for me.
All right.
That was a good one. All right, so let's hear the analysis, Scott. What does Milo do into the ground?
But as I said before, he's on the left side of our pressure shift continuum. So I would say the least amount we've ever seen is 50%, like where you don't get any more into your trail side than the most we've seen is 100, and I would say kind of the middle of the road would be 80. And so as I said before, your ground reaction forces should match that. So if you were 100% into your trail side, you would need a lot of this horizontal force to get back to your left side, which you don't have a lot of because you don't need it because you're not back that far. You have a lot of torque. So I would say if I put you on that continuum, you're kind of to the left side of center. And so what does that mean? You should be using vertical forces and torque or rotational forces kind of equally, which from the previous swings I saw were pretty much bang on. And it's rare that you find somebody who hits it as well as you do that has a massive mismatch in their ground reaction forces and their pressure shifts. So let's see here. So the pressure shift that time was, and it's interesting, you can see, I don't know if you can see here, Brandon.
Come on over, Milo, you can check it out.
So as you said before, you have that left trigger. Mm-hmm. So this is you right before you take the club away.
Oh, okay. So here's our
that's the pressure up there. Okay. I can make it bigger. So if we talk about pressure, let me go here. So here's the pressure underneath your feet, and you haven't moved yet.
All right, so this is lead side, trail side?
Yeah, lead side, trail side. And if you watch, it shoots right into your lead foot right before the club moves away from the ball, which is your trigger, right? That's what you said. You have that push there. So that's
trigger left. And
so you basically go to 95% into your lead side before the club's even moved. It's just started to move away from the ball, and you're 95%. And then you get going to the trail side, and you're super consistent. And this is something that I've watched you hit, how many balls now? 5 or 6 that I've measured. And everyone's been almost identical in terms of the pressure shift to the trail side.
67 or
yeah. How much you get into your trail side is really a measure of how much you're using each leg to create your speed. And if you're on one swing, and you'll see this with amateurs, like sometimes it'll be 85 on one swing and 65 on the next, and that's just a completely different swing. It's impossible to be consistent when this is really variable, how much you get into your trail side. We measured Tommy Fleetwood a couple years ago at the Players Championship. He hit 5 wedges, 5 7-irons, and 5 drivers, all full swings, and they were all within 1%. $100 into the lead side right here, just as the club starts to move back, and then the pressure starts to go back into his trail side. That's his trigger.
If your lead knee releases back, then generally your pressure is gonna
move
more back.
Yeah, you definitely got 100. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what you'll do when you're hitting your 100 swing, if you hit 10 swings where you're trying to get 100 in and you hook 8 of them, now you know, oh, that's what causes my hook. And so if you get on the course and it starts hooking, now you have a strategy. Oh, I got to stay a little more.
You don't see many people go down here and stop and then jump up.
Yeah. But as we get older and as our nervous systems stop functioning as quite as well, then that stretch run cycle doesn't work quite as well as it used to. And so some people may have to load a little bit slower. Your preload where you're dropping, you only weigh 90 pounds on the plate.
So I'm about half my weight.
About half your body weight, yeah.
And then I feel like I catch myself with my weight pretty much on right on the center of my feet, I would guess. Is that where it looks like it lands to you?
Let me check. So you are right on 50-50 at the peak.
When I catch, it goes that way.
Yeah. And in golf, you can't just make one change, right?
The brakes are so hard.
I'm pushing hard
Yeah.
against the ground, and then as the club's moving, I keep pushing a different direction.
Right here is where you need to brake. There you go.
Oh, baby.
Yeah.
Oh, there's actually a ramp.
Yeah,
there.
it's a big spike.
You really started to ramp up the brakes just before you got the club parallel to the ground. And my club head speed went way up.
I like that one.
130 again.